Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where I am going to do a full face of other creators' favorite makeup of 2022. I have been gathering a bunch of I've had someone help me gather a bunch of stuff that I have not tried that other people said were their absolute favorites of last year, and I'm going to try it out and I'm going to see if they're right or not. I hope they didn't fool me into buying a bunch of makeup that I'm gonna hate, but I have a sneaking suspicion that this is gonna be the best of stuff that I haven't tried. So I'm super excited to be putting this on my skin, and if you haven't been here before, do consider subscribing before you leave because I do upload quite a lot of videos every week. Welcome to my face. I decided to zoom in a little bit so that you can actually see what's going on. Like I said, I did have some help going through a bunch of creators' favorites videos and picking out their favorites in every category. So I have primer, foundation, concealer, powder, bronzer, blush, highlighter, eyeshadow, lips, brows, and I also have a lip liner. And the person that helped me is my virtual assistant. I do have someone helping me, so thank you so much, Emily, for helping me out because this was truly needed. So I am gonna go through and do a full face, and of course I'm gonna be trying these things out a little bit more. First impression is all fine and dandy, but I always come back and give you my final thoughts later on. What we're gonna start with is the Essence Hella Good Stuff Glow Serum Primer. This is a hydrating and smooth base with watermelon, water, and niacinamide. And from previous experiences, my skin loves both watermelon and niacinamide, and this was the favorite of both Kelly Gooch and Steph's Beauty Stash. And Steph, I don't exactly know what Kelly Gooch's skin type is. Actually, I've never tried these. Like I said, these are first impressions, but I do know that Steph's Beauty Stash lives in Texas. We are in the same climate. We are around the same age. This is what it looks like. We are in our late 30s. I think we're around the same age. And she has oily skin and I have combo skin. Not 100% sure what, this smells watermelon-y, what kind of skin type Kelly has. But Kelly and I usually like similar stuff even though we don't have similar type of makeup preferences, if that makes sense. She likes more, you know, the clean makeup aesthetics there, but not their makeup, and I like my makeup to be seen. I want bright, colorful, dramatic scene makeup. I do have a little bit of a breakout on my chin. That might be from me trying that Nivea balm. I'm not saying that that is what it is, but it could be. So I'm just going to use, this is the I Am Magic foundation by Nyqvist place, and I use this foundation as a spot concealer because it is fully opaque and it is matte and it dries down on itself. So if you're looking for a cover concealer, try this foundation because honestly it is the best spot concealer I've ever had, and it is a foundation and it is a lot of product. It's gonna last you for forever. Okay, let me wash my hands and let's go in with this foundation that I spent the entire of 2022 regretting not trying. This is my moment. Because this is the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. I got mine in medium 1 Punjab. That's the one I got. I don't remember why I didn't try this out when it came out. I tried a bunch of other ones. I tried the Makeup Forever foundation that came out last year. Absolutely loved it. I tried the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin foundation that came out around the same time as this one. And I really liked that one too. But for one reason or another, I didn't try this one. And I regretted it throughout the entire year because so many people love this one. This was mentioned as a favorite from Too Much Mouth, Makeup Molly, Alicia Archer, formerly known as Kinky Sweat, and Mandy Leah. And I did talk to my friend Ali Glines the other day, and she also said that she loves this, and she also, like me, lives in a humid climate, and she is in her 30s, and she has oily skin. So I'm feeling that there is a lot of different people with different skin types and different ages and living in different climates that really love this foundation. And look at that shade match. That is a great shade match. I will say though that I did match myself in store, so I would have been a little disappointed if I had picked out something that was totally off, because I mean I picked this in the store. This is more liquidy than I thought it was gonna be, but if you have been here before, if this isn't your first rodeo on the Angelica Nyqvist channel, you know that I really like a medium coverage natural finish foundation that is a little bit more liquidy in consistency. There are a couple of more thicker foundations. There are a couple of like full coverage foundations or light coverage foundations that I love, but those are my soft spots. If I have a serum-like or liquidy foundation with a medium coverage and a natural finish, I usually tend to pick them up. This one is described as like a light reflectant, and that's probably the reason why I didn't buy it. See your light and its best light. Light reflecting foundation instantly diffuses light to blur imperfections and smooth the look of skin. Visibly improves skin's clarity. Buildable coverage, natural finish. Why didn't I buy this? I think it's the light reflecting that made me think that like, oh, it's gonna be a dewy foundation, but look at this liquidy. It's so liquidy. I'm so impressed. I'd like to formally apologize for not loving you sooner. My bad. I actually have a bunch of cream products to go through, so we are gonna end with powder, but I have the LYS Triple Fix Full Coverage Brightening Concealer. This is the favorite of my friend Samantha March, but it is also the favorite of Alicia Archer, formerly known as Kinky Sweat, and I feel like me and Samantha March have a similar issues when it comes to our under eyes. This one I also picked up in store, so this should be a good shade, and that is that we have a lot of fine lines under our eyes. Me and Samantha are both in our, I don't know if she's in her late 30s, she might be in her mid 30s. I mean, I have met Samantha in real life, and I do think that I have more fine lines than her, which makes sense. What is this? Where did I get those crunchies from? Because I think I'm like somewhere between 3 and 5 years older than her, so I think that that makes sense. But I'm interested to see. This is a very like light foundation. I will say this one makes me feel like I'm gonna break it when I stuff it down, because like you have to use some power. I don't know if I love the packaging because of how flimsy that wand felt when I had to push it down to the packaging, but I like how light this felt. I feel like the consistency of this concealer is very similar to the consistency of the Maybelline, what is it called, that concealer? I will pop up a picture here of the concealer. You know, the one that I love so much. I think it's an amazing concealer at the drugstore. And the consistency of this one and how it blends out reminds me a lot of that one. And for that reason, I think I'm gonna love this one. This is the product, this and the Nars foundation are the two products that I was fairly certain that I was gonna like because of who liked them and for what reasons they like them. That looks honestly stunning. I think I'm gonna like this one. But if you're looking for something similar to this but at a lower cost, I would recommend you to check out that Maybelline one. I will link that down below as well in case you are interested. Like I said, we'll try the powder at the end because I have a bunch of cream products that I want to try with you. And I did buy 2 things from Cosmetics, and this is recommendations from Judy. Judy has an amazing YouTube channel and she also has an amazing Instagram. Please check her out on Instagram. She's so good at Instagram. So this is the So Soft Multi-Face Plate Bronze and Sculpt little like bronzer stick, and I actually mentioned a product from Cosmetics in my yearly favorites, which was one of their powder blushes. So when I saw that Judy had 2 of the Cosmetics products on her favorites list, I was like, you know what, let me try these out because I really liked that blush. So this is a cream bronzer in Summer. It looks like it's gonna work for me, right? I'm intrigued to see how this is gonna work out. And this is the Sunscape Highlighter in Clarity. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the baked highlighters that came out in like 2015-16 that people went crazy for. Who remembers the Dose of Colors highlighters? I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Okay, let me start with this one. And I like doing bronzer up here and taking it down a little bit because I want this part to like sink in a little bit because that fits my face shape. Remember to do like bronzer and contour and all of that. Remember to do it in a way that fits you, your style, your face shape. I do a little bronzer here. I never contour my forehead though because I have the smallest forehead in the world. But we'll do a little bit like this and we'll see how this works out. But we'll do a little bit like this. I like a flimsy brush for cream bronzer. I feel like it blends in the best. especially if I haven't set it with powder yet. That looks flawless, and what a good shade for me. I like a bronzer that's a little warm, but I like it to be on the golden side and not on the terracotta red side, because I have a little bit more of a golden undertone. I do not have peach or red undertone. So that is looking super beautiful. I'm really liking how that is looking. Before I go in with that highlighter, we are gonna do a blush first, and this is the Color Fluid in the matte color orange that is from Hindash. I was so close to buying these, but they took a really long time to come to Beautylish. This is the color Rising, which is an orange, nobody is surprised, and this was a favorite of both Kaki and Teresa is Dead, and I am very intrigued to be trying this out. I do think that both of those have dry skin though, which I do not have, but I did try this fluid in the shimmery color, and the formula is beautiful, like really a beautiful color. So let's, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's try this out. That's really pigmented. I don't like having blush. I don't like having blush all over my cheeks. I don't like blush down here, and I don't like using big brushes for blush. So I like being a little bit more precise with my blush placement, and I don't like putting it down here because I feel like it ages me. But this is very, very pigmented. Mistakes have been made. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of foundation on top. This is a very good trick. If you, like me, you went a little overboard with the blush, you can always put a light layer of the foundation on top and just blend it together, and it will take it down just a little bit. I feel like I ended up in a good space with this. It's looking orange and flushed, but not like too much. I don't know if I'm gonna like this. Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but I was intrigued because this is the Airbrush Brightening Flawless Finish Powder by Charlotte Tilbury, and this was in the favorites of, this is so white, oh, this is in the favorites of Teresa's Dead. Teresa is fair. I told you, the foundation shade I'm using right now is in the medium 1. I would describe myself as a light medium. Even when I don't have a sliver of tan on me, I am never fair. So I don't know what possessed me. I don't know what possessed me to try this one, but here we are. But she said that this was just brightening under the eyes, and I have been using and really enjoying, let me show you, this one from CoverGirl. This is the Advanced Radiance, and this is also super, super light, but this is white. So I thought that maybe I'd like these similarly, that they were just like brightening, but still like transparent, translucent under the eyes. And we will see. So let's try it out on this side. I'm gonna use, I like using powder here, down in my smile lines and under my eyes. And where I get a little oily, and I like being light in the inner part of my face because I have a pretty small face, and I also have pretty wide, like I like being light. Does this make sense? I don't know. I like being light in the middle of my face. I call it a spotlight effect. I think that that fits my face shape, and that's why I still do the triangle with the concealer, just with less concealer, because I think that that fits me. I'm just doing it on half my face. Okay, so it's definitely brightening, but it's not a flat powder, which is nice. I mean, you can still see that there's a little bit of the glow from the foundation coming through. Like, it's not entirely flat. Okay, we're gonna see how this one holds up and if it stops my concealer from creasing. And since this is a powder that is loved by someone with dry skin, I'm also expecting that it's gonna work for someone like me that has a little bit more, you know, going into the mature skin peeps. Okay, so I did some of my brows, but I am gonna use the NYX Thick It Stick It Brow Mascara, and this was the favorite of Andrea Metelliano and Batty Bean. I also will say the powder, this powder reminds me a lot in consistency, not in consistency, but how it looks on the skin of the Under Eye Setting Powder by Pat McGrath, because it has, you can see here, it has a little bit of a sheen. It's not 1,000,000% matte. So for that reason, it looks great under the eyes, but it doesn't look great here where I really want to be matte. So it's good for me to know that there's an alternative to the Pat McGrath, I really butchered this one, to the Pat McGrath powder, and that it is very similar to that one, but it didn't become, you know, the Pat McGrath powder, it picks up in the pan, it becomes super, super powdery. This one didn't do that. But on the skin, they look very similar, not 100% matte. Why is this orange? Auburn. I mean, that's good. That's good. Why am I worried? I have orange hair. Why am I worried? Why am I worried? Okay, apparently I got auburn. Do you see all the hair sticking out? Am I supposed to like take some off? What am I doing? Famous last words. Okay. I like to push my brows a little bit more upwards because I have really long brow hairs. So this is my way of making my brows look a little thicker, because if my brow hairs weren't just laying down all sad, my brows would be thicker because I have really long brow hairs. They just don't want to stick up. I'm afraid that I'm gonna get it on my skin, which I did here. I will say, it does really make my brow hairs stick up. The question is, like I said, my brow hairs really want to... Oh, no! Eee! I got a blob. Blob! My brow hairs really want to lay down. So the question is it gonna keep it up all day? Like both the NYX one and the Patrick Ta one does, but I do prefer the Patrick Ta one, but the NYX one works too. Or is it gonna fall down like all sad? That blob, it was a little hard to use the colored one when you have like fine long hairs like me and you don't want to have it like all over your skin. But maybe if I like, we'll see. I'm gonna of course let you know in the future how I feel about these products, if I like have anything to say about them. But I will say, most of the time, how I feel about products after the first time I use them, it rarely changes. Sometimes with foundation it changes though. Because like you use them with different primers, and you use them with different powders, and you use them in different circumstances, and like all of that. I do get it on my skin. Like you can probably tell. Let me see if I can get some off with this old Q-tip that I found. Don't judge me. Would I like this more if it didn't have a color to it? Or is it just that I need to practice more? Because I think that this looks good, and it did give a little bit of warmth to my brows that I actually enjoy. Okay. It's promising. Just a little bit harder to use because it's colored and I'm a klutz. I have two lip products that I want to use. This lip liner was actually mentioned as a favorite of Tati, and she mentioned this one from CoverGirl. This is the Simply Ageless Lip Flip Liner. I got 150 Elegant Nude, and I thought it was going to be more of like a mauve, but I think it's, or is it just, maybe it is this color. I just feel like it looked more pink when I got it out of the packaging. This looks exactly like that lip liner that Patrick Ta released. That was like one of those lip liners that you could both use a line and then fill it in. That's a really nice formula. Creamy but not greasy. Because I don't like some lip liners are just too creamy and it makes them look uneven and I don't like that. Creamy is good, but sometimes they're just too smeary. This one does smell like lipstick, you know, the classic lipstick scent. If you know, you know. I'm gonna fill my lips in. I mean, for me, this is a pink. This isn't a nude at all on anyone. Well, maybe if you have like medium skin tone with a very pink undertone, maybe this is a nude on you. But on me, this is a pink. But I'm gonna put a lip gloss on top, or like a lip oil, because this is the Milani Fruit Fetish Lip Balm. I got mine in pineapple, Papaya. And this is a favorite of both Andrea Metaliano and Kelly Gooch, and both of them love a lot of drugstore. Ooh, still have the sticker on. Like I said, I haven't tried any of these. Some of these I haven't even like looked at the color or smelled them. Ooh, that smells nice. And I think this is, it is a little orangey, but it's supposed to be like a sheer with a little orange tint. Oh, that is very light. So it says lip balm, but it is definitely super light, more like a lip oil, if I'm gonna be honest. It feels like a lip oil, so I would say be a little bit careful when you're squeezing out of this one, because you might end up getting too much, because it is very liquidy like an oil. Tastes a little bit sweet. I'm not mad about that. Should we put some of this highlighter on then? The one from M Cosmetics. It looks really, really pretty. And I'm excited to see how this one goes on. Now that we have finished our face. Ooh, that is pretty. It is a little, like I can see a little sparkle. It's not glittery, but it's not one of those that just looks wet. I can definitely see a little sparkle. If you're looking for something that just looks wet, I really like those new ones from Charlotte Tilbury. Like, I really like that one, and dare I say I like it more than I like the one from Rare Beauty. I don't know if you're allowed to say that, because I feel like I'm the only one who feels that way, but that's how I feel. But this is really pretty. It definitely, when you work it in, gives a little bit of a wet effect. I just, when I get close, I can see some of the particles, but it's definitely not glittery. And I like to put some here because, like I told you before, I don't have a forehead and I want it to appear a little longer than it is. That looks really nice. I will say, I have a lot of highlighters in my collection that I prefer over this one, but I definitely don't think that this is a bad highlighter by any stretch of the imagination. Last and final thing, this is something that I actually have had in my collection for a bit. And I, for some weird reason, thought that this came out in 2021, which now that I look back at it, confuses me because it did come out in 2022. And this is the Fantasy Cosmetica Druid palette. I don't know why I didn't think that this came out in 2020. I don't know why. This was mentioned as a favorite both by Betty Jean and Amanda from Makeup Just for Fun. And we have very similar tastes when it comes to eyeshadows. And I have tried the other two palettes that came out from Fantasy Cosmetica after this one, and I do have a code with Fantasy Cosmetica. My code is Angelica, but for some reason this one I have only swatched, but I've never used it on my eyes. But we're changing that today. Like I said, I have swatched this palette, and I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see these are duochromes, or like this one you can see it's like a plum to a green, and here you also have like a purple to this like muted green, and this is like almost like a tealy mint to like a purple, and I'm not 100% sure what I want to do. Do I want to do something green because I am wearing a green shirt, or do I want to mix it up? Or do I want to do, you know what, maybe I'll use all of these mattes, these three mattes. Okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna start with this green one. It's in the corner, the darker one, and we'll put that out here. You know what, I am excited to be trying this out. I do know from before with this brand that the shimmers are amazing and the mattes are good too, but not as good as the shimmers. So I like to start with the darkest color to get that to be as dark as I want it to be, because I like to see colors being true to pan on the eyes. I think I'm gonna keep it like that, and I'm just gonna blend this upwards a little bit to lift the eye. Like that. And then I'm gonna use the lighter green in the inner part of the crease, and I'll blend this out a little bit. And we can use that plummy one on the lower lash line. Okay, so this is the lighter green. Oh, you know I love a like warm, like swamp green like this. That is so beautiful. Again, I'm just packing this on, and now I'm gonna blend them together a little bit. I'm just blending on top here. It looks a little muddy out here. Like I said, this matte formula, it's good, but it's not my absolute favorite. But I definitely think that it's looking okay. Maybe a little bit more dramatic than I had in mind, but that's like, that's all of my work, let's be honest. Okay, let me use this one. It's called Old Growth, this one. And I'm just gonna do that under my eyes. I just wanted to try as many shades as possible. I think that people fall in love with palettes for different reasons. A lot of people fall in love with palettes because of their amazing shimmers. Me personally, I usually fall in love with palettes because of their amazing matte formula, because I think it's harder to do good mattes than to do good shimmers. So I'm really excited to be digging into the shimmers because I do think that those are going to be the star of the show. I kind of want to do this one on the top lid, and we'll do a little bit of this one, maybe just on the lower lash line. I'm just trying stuff out. And I'm gonna spray it because I do want it to look as opaque as possible, and I also want to make sure to get as little fallout as possible. This is a little bit more of a topper shade, and I love a topper shade because I feel like it's so flattering on a lid that has some more folds and creases, and I really love the matte shadows to peek through underneath. This is really pretty. I also think that it's so easy to blend out the edges between a topper shade and a matte. Oh, you can see the shift here, the blue purple. So this is the transformation shade that I'm gonna put a little bit on the lower lash line. It has more of a plummy base, and it works so good together with the lower lash line shade. Got a little bit of sparkly fallout, but overall I do think the eye look looks really good, but I can tell that there's a little patchiness going on over here. Let me see if I can fix that. And I also need to fix some kind of an inner corner. I like a matte inner corner, so let me finish this up and we can chat about these yearly favorites from people and whether or not I agree. I'm actually going to use one of these shadows, actually from Oden's side, one of the multi-chromes in my inner corner, because this one is like a little like a greeny teal, and I think it's going to fit. I usually do a matte inner corner, but I'm still, ooh, that is a cat hair. I'm still in the process of reviewing all of these. And I thought this would be a good chance to use this one in my inner corners. Yeah, I think that this one is going to be perfect. Just adding a little bit of something lighter. That is very, very bright. Almost too much. Huh. Okay, can we appreciate the shift? Like, do you see that shift? Also, my skin is looking flawless. There's a little bit of muddiness and patchiness here, but I do think with this palette, the star of the show really is like the shimmers. But yeah, let me finish this up and we can have that chat. Am I having a good hair day or what? I'm having a really good hair day. I will say, I feel like this powder is probably better under my eyes than like around my nose. I'm gonna use a little bit of this one that is a little bit more matte, and I'm just gonna use that here because I prefer, and you can see the difference, I prefer being matte here so it doesn't reflect like the crevices and stuff you get with time. So just adding a little bit of matteness, and I think that that looks even better, but that's just a personal preference. My favorites are the two favorites that I thought was gonna be my favorites, and that is the foundation and the concealer. I think they are flawless. I also really like the bronzer stick by M Cosmetics. I think that one looks incredible. I will say I am a little bit surprised at how pigmented this blush is. The pigmentation reminds me a little bit of the Rare Beauty liquid blush. If you know, you know. You really do need the smallest amount. I want to use this on my lips as well because this is an all over. You can use it on your eyes too, but definitely less is more with this one. I really do like this powder, but this is going to be an under eye powder for me for sure. This one, I really do think I'm gonna get good use out of this. My skin does feel really nice. It didn't give any glitter or anything like that, which is like sometimes with these illuminating primers, sometimes they are glittery and sometimes they're greasy, and this was neither. Plus it has 2 ingredients that my skin likes, so it's gonna be interesting to try them out more. The lip products, neither of them are favorites for me. I am surprised. I prefer, if it's gonna be like a lip oil, I prefer it to be in a packaging that's not gonna be as hot. This is a really weird packaging for something that is that liquidy and that oily. I mean, it looks nice, it feels nice, but I do think that I have other... this packaging just throws me off a little bit with the consistency. And I will say, with the eyeshadow palette, I mean, the shimmers are incredible, but I am surprised that this is a favorite because it is a good palette. But like, I know what's out there, and even though I have tried this one now, and I ranked all my palettes that I tried last year, I have a full video ranking all of the palettes that I tried to review during 2022. If you want to check it out, it is on my channel. You can just sort my videos through most popular videos because it recently reached 100k views, so it has a lot of views. I don't think that this would have made top 10 for me. It's a nice palette, I like it, and I like the color story, I like the theming, I like the shimmers. The mattes are not my favorite though, and take this with the perspective of someone that falls in love with matte shadows. I pay so much more attention to matte shadows than I do to shimmer shadows because it is harder to formulate a matte shadow than it is to formulate a shimmer shadow, especially when it comes to matte shadows that are not, well, browns. If we're gonna be honest, it is easier to formulate something that is close to someone's skin tone. These are not bad mattes, but they're not my favorite. They're not my favorite, but I like the look. I think it's really pretty, but I don't think that this would have been my favorite palette of the year, even though I think it is a nice palette, and especially the shimmers. So my favorite are the concealer and the foundation. All the other things are nice. I think the product that is my most like, I definitely can do better than this, is the highlighter and the lip product. I have better things in my collection at a similar price point, but again, we all have different preferences, and that is the fun thing about trying other people's favorites, is that someone comes in with a different preference and a different viewpoint of what they would like their makeup to do, and this is mine. So I'm not saying that any of these people are like not telling you the truth or that they are giving you suggestions that aren't going to work out for you. This is just me giving my thoughts on other people's suggestions. Please check out the description box for info about all of the products that I used today. If you want to see what shades I used, if you want to see where I found them and all of those things, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. I will also link all of the people whose suggestions I got together with the products down below in case you're interested. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again real soon for a new video. Bye!